experts. And just to our learners again, we really try to encourage you to take this opportunity as a learning opportunity, and also to really come out of this competition with all these. When you get a platform, you get such judges before you, it's an opportunity for you to really show what you have. So let's hear what John Tallach, this is Matebeleland North, John Tallach, they can come up as our judges are still rounding up the scores for Asha Girls.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, judges first and audience second, or protocol reserve. My name is Shotton Murray. To my left it's Craig Rowe. To my father's left it's Medicine Kosi. Then to my right it's Eram Shana. And to my father's right it's Internet. Imagine having incredible life skills and talents, but you live in such an environment that doesn't allow you to showcase these talents and flourish. That won't be an environment you would like living, would it? This is the case in Material in Dawazinduna. Although the youth of Dawazinduna are exceptionally skilled when it comes to artisanship and handwork, they have no opportunities, and thus they are unemployed due to other reasons. For example, like that, they are uneducated. Some of them went to school and failed, and some of them went to school and could not go on to school to tertiary education due to financial constraints. They have thus become idle, and they have preoccupied themselves with social vices. This brings me to the problem statement: the youth of Dawazinduna lack self-sufficiency due to unemployment, thereby they tend to social vices. It has always been said that an idle mind is the devil's workshop, and this can be reflected by how the youth now tend to alcohol abuse, drug abuse, and due to alcohol abuse and drug abuse, it has actually led to an increase in problems like gender-based violence and gang violence. We have also seen that due to social vices and lack of employment chances, people have actually tended to go and work for petty jobs where they earn peanuts and still earn nothing. This has actually led to females resorting to prostitution as a way of earning income. They sell their bodies so that they can actually survive. And this isn't the world we would actually love to live in.
No one would desire to live in such a cruel world. That is why we present to you UTOPIA Vocational Center, united to offer practical and intellectual achievements. The fantasy behind UTOPIA was to create a self-sustainable community fully dependent on itself. The word utopia means paradise. Thus, we want to create a paradise-like place where the youth is empowered and not engaging in these social vices. Thus, our mission statement reads, a way to a better future. We aim to create a self-sustainable community by producing practical entrepreneurs that will create demand for labor. We plan to eradicate the stated social vices by offering the youth better opportunities through our center. The SDG goals we aim to tackle are no poverty, decent work, and economic growth. From our research, we noted that there are no vocational centers in Matebeleland North. Thus, UTOPIA will be located in Dawazinduna. UTOPIA will be located in the Dawazinduna Council Hall with permission from Umkuza District Council. These facilities at the moment are not in use. We plan to utilize this place for our project. So up next, our business lines.
Our business canvas has 9 sections. We'll start with the value propositions. These are the attributes that we as UTOPIA want to impart on our students. We are aware that the youth of Matebeleland and North Dawazinduna, to be specific, lack qualifications and experience, and due to this, they cannot secure themselves jobs. UTOPIA is here to teach them handwork skills, artisanship skills, so that they are able to sustain themselves. And because of their lack of qualifications, they actually had limited opportunities to do what they actually wanted to do. Thus, as UTOPIA will teach them, drive them, and inspire them to be self-made entrepreneurs, so that when they go out of the vocational center, not only will they provide employment for themselves, but for others as well, decreasing the unemployment rate of Zimbabwe. As you know, it is highly saturated with unemployment. Moreover, their source of income will be increased. We all know that most of the people earn peanuts at the moment, but when they go out of the vocational center, they'll be able to sustain themselves and their families, and who knows, they might even start training other people as well. The services we will offer are carpentry, construction, textile design, agriculture, and catering. And in addition to this, ICT will be a compulsory course. Why? Because the world is changing and they need to be equipped both ends so that they can adapt to changes. Bridging courses will also be offered to those students who did not finish their secondary levels so that they can do bookkeeping and also communicate effectively. The resources that we will need are financial capital, labor in terms of teachers, lecturers, and ancillary staff. We also need land and machinery. Our key partners will be the Umkuza District Council, the local leaders, our suppliers, and hopefully if we win this competition, Emergination Africa and ZB Bank will invest in us too.
Moving on to the cost structure, which is the general expenses we incur as Utopia. We first incur the startup costs. These are the costs we need for the business to be up and running. These might include the registration costs, etc. Moving on to the rental costs, where we are going to pay for our rent and buildings. And operational costs are the ones which are the most important in this venture, because we are going to talk about the wages of the lecturers, the facilitators, and the equipment that we are going to be using in terms of servicing. And thus we came up with an estimate of costs, which are rentals will be 500 USD a building, and the equipment and machinery that is going to be used, that is sewing machines, saws, and other machinery like picks and hoes. Then there are also revenue streams, which are the ways in which our firm will gain its finance back that will be lost through the cost structure. And these will be tuition fees, that is the money they need to come into our school, and that is donations from anyone, from the community, and that is also investors, which are possibly Emergination Africa and ZB Bank. And there's also ancillary activities, which are like fundraising programs like sports, where they will have to pay for tickets to enter and thereby raising revenue. And moving on to the distribution channels. Our first and foremost distribution channel is the social media platform, because we realize that these days most of the people, majority of the people, use social medias to communicate. Thus, we are going to put them as pop-ups. Whenever you log on to Facebook or Instagram, it will pop up that there's a company called Utopia selling products and also giving vocational training, vocational services. And there are also in-house sales, where the products being produced are going to be sold from where we are producing them. That is in Tawazinduna Council Hall. And then there's also personal selling, where we go door by door selling our products or making them aware of our products and increasing our chances of increasing our revenue. And if you are registered, we're also going to create our own website where you can access everything that is available. And continuing with our distribution, we have to choose who to distribute to, leading us to customer segments. And these are geographical, where we talk about the Ndabazinduna community, because we have to look at our province first before we expand to the whole nation. And we are going to satisfy a niche market where we are looking at the youths of Ndabazinduna who are lacking the self-sustenance without exploiting their skills that are within them. and we are going to to exploit those skills and reduce that import substitution where we are importing labor. And moving on to our customer relationships, these are the ways in which we can increase our loyalty, the loyalty of consumers of our products, and they include personal assistance, where whoever comes to our plant in Tallach Council Hall, we will assist them by showing them how to produce and how we produce the products that we produce, that is clothes and other stuff, etc. And then there's online communities. The online communities are channels where people, that is our consumers, are talking about the products that we produce and how they may help them. Like they talk about the problems they face when using the products and how they may find solutions as consumers without us. And then there's also self-service, whereby you go to our plant and you choose whatever you want to do with it. You choose whatever you want to do with the products that we offer, and then you have to pay at the end.
Now, one thing that is of a certain is that some of you have started to have pop-ups of the costs and benefits of this project. Now, let us start off with the project. Now, we're definitely going to encounter a financial strain in terms of coming up with the startup capital and the working capital needed to carry out our day-to-day activity. We're also going to have a marketing strain in terms of convincing all the stakeholders of the viability of this project. We're also going to encounter environmental costs or externalities in terms of the noise which is coming from the machinery operated in faculties such as the metalwork faculty and the wood technology faculty. We're also going to have to encounter environmental costs in terms of the disposal of the wastages derived from these faculties which I've mentioned, like the metalwork faculty. Now, moving on to the benefits. The first benefit that we are expecting to derive from this project is import substituting of labor. Now, we're going to substitute imported labor which requires technical skills with domestically trained technical workforce. We're also going to encounter a benefit of value addition. Now, we're going to nurture the skills and talents of these students in terms of imparting skills and developing existing skills. Now, the third benefit that we're expecting is the reduction of social biases. Now, the moment that we admit certain students into this vocational center, we definitely occupy most of their time, leaving less time in planning and indulging in social vices such as theft, burglaries, prostitution, and drug and alcohol abuse. Now, we're also going to have a benefit of empowerment, both to the youth and to the woman. Now, our target group is the people aged from the ages of 18 to 35, which is the youthful population. So by empowering or admitting these people, we're definitely empowering the youth. We're also expecting to have women empowerment in terms of having gender equality in terms of the admission of students and the recruitment and selection of the labor force in this vocational center. Now, we're also expecting to have employment creation in terms of all the people working within this vocational center, ranging from the groundsmen to the lecturers and all the handmen in this vocational center. We're also expecting opportunities to be fueled and inequalities to be reduced. Now, the moment we train people, we impart the skill of entrepreneurship, is the moment that we've empowered the youth to create jobs for their own selves. Now, by creating their own jobs, we will have fueled opportunities. And by creating those jobs, the gap in between the high-income groups and the low-income groups will be reduced, meaning less inequalities will be there. Now, last but not least, we'll enhance competence. Now, we'll try by all means to admit those people with inadequate or insufficient passes, O-level and A-level passes, and hence we would give them a chance to do tertiary or higher education. Now, seeing that the benefits outweigh the cost, it is my recommendation that this project will be put into consideration and hence into practical use. Our faith is that this project emerges not only to be just a dream or a vision, but a sense of hope. Because utopia is founded upon hope itself. It is not a dream, it is not a vision, it is not a myth, but a reality within us that needs to be ignited. Now join us as we ignite this reality, ignition of Zimbabwe in this dire situation. Now join us into the way to a better future. Thank you.
I think that you presented it extremely well. You summed it up very nicely at the end, young man, in terms of the reality of the situation. I think it's a very realistic project, one of the more realistic ones we've come across, and I'm pretty impressed. I've been impressed by all of the presentations today, but this one is quite realistic. I want to ask you one question though. So, you can have all these people at this vocational center producing goods, etc. What is your market? How are you going to, I don't think you fully explained how you're going to get your products to the market and where you believe your market is. But other than that, I was quite impressed by your passion. But I want to know the goods that you make. How do you plan to get them to the Bloy market or to the Rare market, or you didn't quite go into that in any kind of detail?
Our distribution of the products that we're going to produce, we're going to hire some contracting, we will contract some transferring agents like Swift and others, DHL, so that we can transport our products.
I think I was referring a lot more to the marketing side of things, but anyway, I'm sure my colleague over here is going to tap in there.
In terms of the market, we specifically gave geographical location of the vocational center, which is in Tallach, which is a niche market which is unsatisfied. We studied a lot of articles whereby it was previously a vocational center, which was closed because there was, which was filled by the Tallach training center. So we're trying to ignite that vocational center because we're seeing parents outside crying, crying for and saying their students or their children are going to places like Botswana and South Africa. So we're trying to resuscitate that vocational center and come up with something which is different from what it was before, and which is of benefit to the society, to the community, and to the nation at large.
I think what my colleague meant was, okay, you're going to set up this vocational center. Very good presentation, by the way. Really one of the best we've seen. I like the idea, I like the name, and the young man managed to make it emotional towards the end. So well played. But what I think my colleague is asking is, we have this vocational center, which is going to empower youth, create employment. You intend to have a physical output from this effort, right? You mentioned carpentry, you mentioned some bookkeeping and all that. I think you mentioned sewing. Yes. So let's take one of these processes. Let's take carpentry, and you go into woodwork. Right? And I would like to believe that there are also some cultural things around Nbcc that you want to export to the world. I don't know, maybe you have beadworks, a particular way you do your stools, and let's say you manage to produce this woodwork and you want to sell it. Which market are you going to sell it to? Because you can't sell, if I'm from Nbcc, forgive me if I get the pronunciation wrong, and I already have this thing, you can't sell it back to me. You need to export it to another market, either within Zimbabwe or within the region, or even export outside the country. This is like you taking Nbcc out to the world. So what is your target market?
So we will first offer companies tenants on if they actually want to buy the goods we're actually purchasing. For example, let's say there are schools like John Tallach, David Livingstone in the large geographical area. So if we are purchasing uniforms, we are going to actually tailor-make them to actually be provided for John Tallach and David Livingstone, just to name a few schools. And then if you look at the geographical area of the Vocational Training Center, it will be located near Bulawayo and Breakbridge, in Kwero actually. So since we are close to Bulawayo, we are actually having a media of going to Breakbridge. And the moment you are going to have a media of going to Breakbridge, that links us closer to South Africa. In so much so that if our goods are actually of quality goods, we can actually export them to South Africa. And if we're closer to Kwero and closer to Victoria Falls, we can then actually supply those tourist attractions with the beads and the cultural stores we manufacture as the Vocational Center based in Nbcc. So basically, as touching on the market you're going to be actually satisfying, you can actually look at the service which I've already mentioned, like such as catering. We'll be looking for people who are planning weddings, birthdays, or even functions, and we'll be actually catering catering for those companies. For example, if Emergination Africa becomes an investor, we can actually do catering for future events.
Another observation, when you talk about, this is a vocational center, right? I also hope you know that for you to set up a vocational center, you need some sort of approval from government. You factor that in. Okay, like you said, there was one existing, which is now defunct, and you want to see how you can resuscitate it again, but make it better in a way, because it's needed in the community. I think we can't argue on that, on it being a community need, right? You are going to need a lot of partnership. When you were talking about your cost, you mentioned something about having lecturers or trainers. If it's a startup for a vocational center, you are going to, I will strongly suggest that you go with partnership, because you might not be able to afford to pay for, if you're going to hire a lecturer to come and teach some woodwork, maybe go to the Polytechnic. So you need to think of finding ways to seek partnership or sponsor. If these organizations can take you under their wing, maybe as part of their corporate social responsibility, where maybe once a week, once in 2 weeks, they release a lecturer to come and address students and help them, because you might not be, if you're going to hire every lecturer that is going to train students, then already you are running on a loss. So also really putting more consideration into looking for these higher tertiary institutions to partner with. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
On my side, I think a great presentation, fantastic idea again. I like the educational aspect of it. I think just quickly touching on some of the marketing that my colleagues were trying to maybe get across was, I think what you guys have covered is the logistics of transporting your final product. But what I think was not clear, or certainly wasn't clear to me, was the actual marketing and using technology to showcase your product, whether it be on social media or with some sort of advertising to show that this is what you're offering. All that said, that's not really my area of expertise. The part that I'd like to understand a little bit more from a finance point of view, and my colleague touched on it a little bit, is how is this being funded? And I know she's given you some ideas in terms of structure, in terms of partnership. And I think what's still not clear to me is this a charitable community service organization, or is this a business that's out to make money and out to be profitable? I think we understand the community side of it, in other words, involving the Ndabazinduna community to be involved in production. But is it a charity or is it a business? That was what I sort of missed in that.
So, after brainstorming, we came up with this strategy. Now, we've already been corrected by our madam. She said we can partner with certain institutions. Yeah. So, we are correcting ourselves at the moment. And then, this is a business. Not that profit will be our motive, but we'll try to offer a service. But the children will try by all means to pay a fee or a tuition fee in order to cover the cost. But for those who have a problem in terms of paying us, we look for donors who can assist those underprivileged students.
Thank you very much. Time is
Sorry.
up. Thank you.